That's probably really loud. All right. try that. Hey, look at that. Yay. Sound working is always a good thing. All right. Test, test. Yep, we're good. Heyo. Hey. All right, I gotta make it so I can hear things. Like hear myself think. Music is good. All right. Hold on a second here. What we got? Pick some tunes here. All right. Yeah, sure. Let's go with that. Well, not that. It's triumphant. All right. Test my levels here. Test. Yep. Turn this down a little bit. There we go. Sorry, this setup is a little bit comedy today. I've had a weird morning, so let me see here. Getting an echo. Gotta bring up my Twitch stream here and mute it. Excellent. Hey, welcome to DevStream. So I am in the middle of just goofing around with some, well, not goofing around with some stuff, but working a little bit on the initial player experience. There's a bunch of things about this game that are working well. Combat is it's coming along, you know, got a good set of features there, a lot of weapons, a lot of customizable stuff that cars can have, and bulking out that content is going to be a big part of what I do in the coming months. But also, like, you go and play the game, it's still Jim described it as a sandbox, and it does feel like that, right? So, like, you come in and you don't really know what you're what you have to do, where you're going to go next, and I'll show you kind of what the experience is, and we can talk about it when you start up. And so the first thing I was going to do to run it is fix this little error here. Hey, keep hearing things about. So I was just playing around a little bit with some a Twitter feed. So there's going to be basically tweets. So your opponents are going to tweet at you. There's going to be rivals that are tweeting at you. People are going to be talking about you or your rival or how much it sucks in the world, right? And there's some conversation stuff. Basically, exactly what I use for all the boss stuff. Hey, Dean. Where the bosses call you a chum spittin' whatever, right? All that stuff is driven by tables that... Oh dear. Well, this started quickly. Oh, he's a new guy, though. Quick cat thing. This is Dean. So we have Sam and Dean, and you get kudos if you know what that's all about. These two brothers here. Alright, well... So, what I was talking about is that there are some data sheets, hey Dean, that describe what people will say, and there's a lot of like macro completion and stuff like that. I'll get into that in a second. I just want to fix this bug, and then we can run the game, and I can talk about what I'm doing here. Keep hearing things about. There's just a bug, Dean. There's an error down here. Oh, come on, dude. Pick a lane. Pick a lane, baby. Come on, dude. All right. I think I'll have a hand here. Excellent. Oh. This is why sometimes I think about locking the cats out. Sometimes they're quite well behaved. Sometimes they're kind of needy, being cats. So, all right, yes, right. So like him standing on the keys. Like I've had like 6 or 8 files get changed all at once because he sits on a combination of keys, and so like just undo doesn't work, right? I got to go back and figure out which files he was tabbing through and inserting different things into. Oh, look at this! In this case, our region count got changed from 10 to N because cats. All right, well, we'll see what I can do here with one hand. All right, so let's. This is going to be short-lived, my friend. All right, so I've got some citizen quotes I was adding in that also look like trash because of cat footprints. But yeah, it's been so long now. I've got an error down here that you can't read. It's just talking about something that was malformed. It says I keep hearing things about. And where did I write that? Oh, I keep hearing things about something I never finished writing. So I'm gonna say, hey, keep hearing things about player name. This is just regular citizens talking about what you might be up to, and we'll just throw a few things in. I just kind of wanted to seed this system so that I have other ways of communicating to the player what's going on and to kind of draw them through the world. So I keep hearing things about you, whatever your name is. What is he? This is another macro replacement, right? So it's he, she, they. I guess I don't have a setup right now to handle they gracefully, but what is he, she up to in our location? So current location is a macro that I've got too. And this is just curiosity about what the player's doing, right? Sometimes it might be in a place where there's danger. This isn't great, but this is all just a initial framework for me to kind of feed information to the player about what's going on. So I just wanted to get this system fleshed out a little bit more, because I've got a system where I've been able to generate boss quotes, and using a data table replacement system, and this is partially some stuff that sprang from Dungeon Man's and some additions that I made myself. But let's see if the thing runs. You can see what we see. Hey! You guys got to see that trouble shot. All right. Yes, we're back. Comedy, terribleness. All right. Well, that was weird. Yeah. So this whole setup's been working for the last month, but yesterday I had to do a voice call with somebody on this headset, and of course I had to switch over to the headset mic, and no one could hear me. And I guess switching over and then switching back caused me to have to re-plug in my mic. Okay, well, whatever. Technology. All right, so I don't even know where I left off. I guess I was looking for something to pick up just to quickly test all the elements. So down here is a little bit of a chatter. My shipment of fuel never made it in. I hope Serious Tiger's dam chokes on it. Meh, not a great generation there. My shipment of, here it is. My shipment of Citizen Cargo, that's a list right here of food, meat, mystery meat, beer, spices, which, these are things the player can transport too, right? And I hope whoever chokes on it, it was just, I kind of threw that together. It's sub-awesome. Yeah, I'll just at least say, I hope the, let's see. I hope the damn straight razors, or whatever they're named, choke on it, because it's always a plural, the gang names, right? So owning faction is a macro that gets replaced with whoever is currently the opponent in this particular map, right? So I set that up when to do all this, I created a new feed manager, and so community tweets are like just generic background tweets that happen when there's no other action. Like if something important happens, then it kind of delays the tweet. But in those cases, I set a macro like owning faction, and I set up who the opponent is, where they are, and these are all macros that get detected in this data file when it prints out, and it basically looks that up and basically decides what to say. And if I put a plus in front of it, like right here, it actually would, citizen reaction is an exclamation or a curse or whatever. I'm going to put a plus in front of that, and that's going to capitalize that. So it's just like a simple sort of replacement methodology to do everything. So looks like I still have a mic. That's good. I guess I got to check over there every so often just to make sure everything's all right. Yeah, so anyway, I was just toying with that a little bit to get that out of the way. I was partially done with that, and then I was going to look a little bit more at the overall experience of playing the game and what it's like. Let's see here. Lost quote. Hey, there it is. Get me money, you mucus lovers. So basically, this method will allow me to. Oh, that's right. I've got to advance for the boss to quote again. Gather those money, you bloody scum poltroons. This is the downside of using this method, right? Is you gotta get all the grammar right, and it's kind of a pain in the neck. So sometimes you create sophisticated rules, so it's like, oh, it's a or an if it starts with a vowel, you detect that. And in some cases, you just write things that are just going to work out if you without the extra technology. And right now, I just want to get some things together, so I'm going to probably really limit what I write. So right there, you acquired bolt carbine. That's the sort of thing that I want to make sure appears here in the lower right. I'll probably put a little bit of a dark background behind it. In fact, let me do that quick. So So I just want that to look fairly, let's see, line. So the way this works, right, is that there is there's a window here, and when I drag in new combat log lines, it'll fill up, basically. And it'll adjust to the top edge to fit whatever is currently in there. I was using a scroll view for a little while, but it was very fiddly and it had a lot of issues. I'll probably go back to that at some point so you're able to scroll back. I didn't have the collision set up right, but basically it was important for me to get it in. It is not nearly as important for me to make it like completely bulletproof where you can scroll back and use the mouse and do all those things. And so for now I just made a single panel, and it puts in these prefabs and fills them in basically, as the tweets come out, basically. Or toots. I'm thinking, it's Twitter, but in this world, it's a toot. You put out a toot. Kind of silly, but maybe I don't know. It's in the code, I still call it a tweet because I want whoever's reading it to know what the heck's going on. But in world, maybe it'll be called a toot. I don't know. I have a little trumpet icon for the Twitter equivalent, right, instead of the bird, and it would be a toot. So I have no dungeon mans when it comes to humor. I just kind of want to give that the right feel, So you got to get close enough, but not be exactly the same as something that you're essentially evoking, right? So here's that combat log. I just wanted to have a little bit of I want something behind it. So I'm just going to add an image back there. I can do this by just saying image. Oh, whoops. All right, can only hold one graphic component. I guess that is the case, right? So okay. This is sub-awesome, but I'll see if I can add in an image quick. I don't want to fiddle with this too much, frankly. I just need to get it in. But let's see. We got our text. Meh. All right. I'm not going to fiddle with this right now, so. Because it has a content size fitter, so if I add more, this is just weird Unity stuff, right? The UI can be a little bit crazy to deal with, and so there's a content size fitter which looks at the contents under this and basically says, oh, well, you've got this much text. I'm going to adjust the size of this whole panel to fit this thing. And moving that content size fitter is going to take more time than I really want to. I don't really want to dwell in that right now. So it's not really the important part of today. But if I put an image in, it's going to be over the text. So I got to make sure it's behind the text. So I'm going to have to move the text line in a different spot for me to have some dark backdrop there. One thing I can do. Hey, thanks for the subscription. Or subscribe. Oops, I said subscribe. Well, thanks for the follow. I don't think I have subs. I am not part of the blessed Twitch group yet, but thanks for the follow. The thing says subscribe, and I just haven't changed it yet, so oops. Cool, so let me get back here. Tell you what, let's at least an image here. We'll make it black, and we will make it very translucent. Let's do 0.2. All right. Let's see me fiddling around with the UI. For me, UI is really, like, you can just spend a whole day just goofing around with the UI and figuring out anchors and how wide or narrow, figuring out the fitters, and there's all these layout groups and stuff, and it's not great. So okay, look at UI combat log is being fine. Alright, come on. And that backdrop is alright. I'm not going to noodle with that really today. So... Do. Okay. Let's take that image out. Got our Skies of Arcadia going here. Hey, it's not doing my little title. I gotta get that up. What is it called? It's called Derpy Derp. Snip? Yeah, it's called Snip. Hooked to iTunes, baby. Hey, you. Alright, today is just filled with all sorts of attempts to do things. Alright, we'll wing this. It's all good. One last attempt at Snip. Hey, you. Alright, Skies of Arcadia, anyway. Alright, so I want to run the game and show you what kind of that early experience is, and just kind of put you through my thought process to what I want to experience, right? So, we'll remove this scene. So the base game, that is sort of so in Unity you can open levels, you know, and it might be like, hey, it's like a 3D level, it's a Mario level or something like that. That is what a scene can be, right? I'm loading the forest scene, or I'm loading the desert scene, or the lava scene. But what it also can do is you can load multiple scenes at once. So in my case, I have a base game scene, and that has all my UI and a lot of my various pop-ups and stuff like that. Some of the game managing stuff. It's all in this level, and this base game level pretty much stays resident the whole time. It'll unload whatever map I'm in if it's desert, and then it'll load up the grass, you know, scene. Let's see if grass works right now. So, and what I've hooked up is if I don't have a scene loaded, then it'll kick off the campaign and then start at the beginning. If I load base game, if I have another scene loaded, like in this case the grass overworld, which I haven't opened in a year, I swear. We'll see if it explodes or not. Is it gonna explode? Oh yeah, look at that, errors. CTS texture arrays. All right. We'll worry about that later. So that is another biome, right? I've got desert, and then I, like, way back when I was starting working with terrain and stuff like that, I set up a grasslands with trees, and I wanted that to be sort of a second biome, so that when you head north, you go into trees, and then maybe you go into mountains, and maybe you go into snow. That's all something that this sort of system can do. All right, so let's start the player's experience. I'm going to skip the intro, the title screen, and that's where you choose your character name and all that. Actually, no, I'll go through that. I'll go through that too. This is going really slow. Come on, Berber. There we go. Excellent. All right, I'm going to load up the stub. What the stub is It is just the level, that the scene that gets kicked off at the start of the game, and what that is the title screen, and its job is to take some info about the player and the name and the car that they want to drive. Here we are, right? And then kick off the base game scene. It unloads the stub and loads the base game scene, and then the base game scene job is to load whatever map, whether it's an overworld or play map, combat map, as needed, right? So, but in this case, I'm starting off with the stub. I'm gonna hit a key. This is if you've played the game, this is pretty familiar, right? And just gotta check, make sure. Hey, the microphone's still working. Great. I'm gonna switch to the Grand Stallion here. Pick a new character. Alright, this kind of goofy looking guy. Male, female, they. I always like this guy with the Batu eyes, Ghost of Shell Batu eyes, the cybernetics that just look like little, I don't know, little tiny canisters sitting on his eyes, which, would be so cool to have cans for eyes. Yeah, totally. So let's begin. With this, you'll see up here on the right. So it plays like a little intro cinematic. This is supposed to set the stage and all that. I just whipped this up really fast. It's something that you can use. Unity has like a built-in like timeline system where you can kind of like create cinematics and move characters from one place to another, put in animations, play sounds and all that. I don't really have an animator. I do have some animations I can probably piece together, but I just wanted something really quick. So just kick it off with you crashing and then waking up in a new place. Sort of classic thing. You don't have amnesia, but it's that sort of blank slate. All right, here we go. It was a bad night. So this is the initial player experience right now. So I prepared this for a few months ago when I was showing the game off at the Seattle Indies Expo 6, SIX. And I just wanted kind of like something to set the stage to tell the players what was going to happen, what they were in for. So, yo, stranger, you alive in there? And, I get a couple options. Sometimes what you choose does lead to another dialogue choice, but there's no, like, do you want to blow up the town or not sort of options in this case. Call me unknown driver. Oops, I forgot to set the name. That was one thing I was going to do. And look, she's Clementine, but she's actually supposed to be Stella. I guess I never set that up. Because I generated this character and then I didn't use the proper macro. Anyway, well, whoever wanted you dead really meant business. I'm not sure why they left you breathing. We did manage to get your car fixed up a little. Most of your gear was toast, so we made do with what we could find. You should still be able to drive and fight. And there's always a catch, right? Oh no, my care. Alright, we don't normally stick our neck out for random strangers, but it seems our homestead needs the protection of a driver at the moment. They've had a lot of bandit trouble. So this is where I'm supposed to kind of talk about. I want to set it up so that you've got an immediate goal, right? So it's like the Thunder Razors have taken over this place, and you got to look out for, Jimmy the Knife and take him out. And so I have to work that into this intro just so that you're like, okay, Thunder Razors, Jimmy the Knife, got it. I'm going to go kill Jimmy the Knife. Hey, it's you, the knife! Was that just now with the knife? Oh, Jim the Knife, yes! Jimmy the Knife. Jimmy the Knife. Alright, you all know Jimmy the Knife. So we need you to clear him out for us, deal? So this is like a wall of text. Gotta tighten it up. Tight. I'll see what I can do. I'm on it. Do I have a choice? These are all lead to the same dialogue. Oh my gosh, that's really tall grass. That's amazing. Let's just keep that. So this is where I feed the player a little bit of a tutorial. So obviously, telling them to pick up their pick up their controller and press up in the A on the gamepad or press the up arrow key on the keyboard. Somebody said that they were having some confusion, that there was too many keys being... oh, hey! Dungeon Man's is hosting the stream with one viewer. Thank you. Thank you. It's always good to have more viewers. So they were complaining that there's a little bit too many keys being thrown at them. 2 types of keys being thrown at me. So at some point I got to set this up so it, like a lot of my other UI detects if you most recently use a joystick and show buttons, and if you most recently use a keyboard, show keys. I do that. I don't yet in these tutorials, so it's just something I got to do. Look at all the Pokemon you can catch. Jimmy the Knife is the best Pokemon. There should be a Jimmy the Knife Pokemon. I like it. Alright, so you steer left or right. So here I am. This is like the very early player experience, right? They don't know anything about this game, and they're coming into this overworld, which, again, has amazingly tall grass. I'm delighted. It's like a jungle in here. This is not by design. I was just noodling the grass, and I guess I haven't opened the overworld maps in a little bit. So I know the combat maps look fine. The overworld map looks like this. So the player kind of learns about driving a little bit. So they'll figure out that either use the arrow keys here, or use a controller. That experience is okay, and so there's sort of a question of whether what the player is going to be doing next, right? He's like, okay, maybe he still remembers about Jimmy the Razor, and there's going to be tweets about Jimmy the Razor every so often here. Like, I mean, this isn't the only way I'm going to communicate stuff, but it's like, all right, hey, somebody's got to fucking know about this new driver. That's you, by the way. Sometimes it'll use you by name. Sometimes it'll talk about like the new driver. But at some points, it'll lament that Jimmy the Knife sucks and is making their lives miserable, and they really need some help. And at the same time, the player has a quest, right? So I gotta write this stuff down. Let's do a quick to-do here. To-do for player early experience. Set up an immediate goal. Enemy boss to kill Jimmy the Knife, or whatever, right? Enemy faction to take out the Thunder Razors, or whatever. Now, if you've got an immediate goal, that's cool. And right here, you can't really do anything other than move around, and then there's an encounter, right, straight up ahead for you to deal with. And that happens to be your first encounter with the Thunder Razors. Jimmy the Knife isn't there, but he's the guy you got to deal with. So one of the things I don't have right now is I have the ability to give the player a quest, and it gets shown here in the upper right, whatever's the most pertinent quest at this time. I got to do that, right? So give the player a quest that is shown on the UI. Take out the enemy. We'll just say take out the enemy boss, and basically by extension, taking out the enemy main boss will purge this overworld, this map that we're in, which is the Baked Plains, of enemies. Everyone will be happy. You'll get your fame and fortune, and this place will be cleared out and safe to be in for now, right? Unless something happens. So I gotta make sure the player has that. I don't really need a quest pointer. I do use quest pointers sometimes. You'll see that when I start fighting. But even though Jimmy the Knife is over here to the left, I don't really need to point you because there's only one place to go. So I'm gonna go right into this encounter because that's all we can do. First of the fight, Just down the canyon road, you come upon a small group of the Spiders sitting in their ratty vehicles. That's the Thunder Racers. The Spiders are the owners of this map. And that's even something that I can do as well, right? When in Overworld map, you saw me bring up the auto map, right? Show the name of the map, right? We have that already. Who owns the map? The Thunder Racers. The difficulty of the map, right? So I have that information up top, or I used to actually. I don't show that anymore. Or actually, I call it the challenge level of the map. 1 through 20. It's pretty much that's your level, right? So just like you can get from level 1 to 20, the opponents, they have a scaling sliding scale so they can be 1 to 20 as well. So in this case, looks like they're waiting for you to come this way. So this is the first encounter after the encounter we had with the with Clementine back there, or Stella, depending on what you read. Come to your halt, rev your engine. This is Willa the Gator. So this is the first what's called agent that you're dealing with. It's sort of a mini boss. So she is. She says, "Well, I thought we took care of you. Cutter paid us pretty well to take you out. Guess we got to finish the job." The intent there was to set up not Jimmy the Razor, but another rival driver that was kind of like throwing a monkey wrench in your gears. But I think what I'm gonna do is in first combat encounter. This is all a lot for the player to take in, right? Like, it's probably best for them to just say, Jimmy the Razor, yeah, that guy is a jerk. I'm totally gonna take him out. I don't really need to. This was kind of just a little sort of thing I floated up to try and hint to testers way back when I was showing the game off at this show, that there was more going on in the world. But the rival agent does not have to be coined right now. Don't use the rival agent for the first encounter. So that's an example of me getting a little too complicated, right? Did he level up from right through? No, he's part of the Thunder Razors, but I guess he's cooler because he's got a knife. Knives are bigger than razors, unless you got a razor knife, maybe. So depends on whether you consider one an upgrade or not. If it's a razor, like a little Gillette, well, you got 6 blades or whatever, so maybe that's cooler than one knife blade. But I don't know. Like, who knows? Razor versus knife, they're sort of down 2 upgrade paths. Jimmy the Knife. I like that, right? Jimmy the Knife, Grand Fifth Blade of the Thunder Razors is an example of something that I should be adding to some of my boss flavor down the road. Just kind of give them kind of ridiculous royalty type names, Sixth son of the blades, whatever. So okay, what do you mean Cutter paid you? So this would be Jimmy the Razor, Jimmy the Knife. Sorry, Jimmy the Knife. Yes, Jimmy the Knife paid you. Never mind that. Get him. So that was supposed to be like, oh yeah, look, a little reference to this rival. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna set up Jimmy the Knife. That jerk sent whoever at us. I can't remember her name. We'll see in a sec. Willa the Gator. Time to be smashed, Willa the Gator says. Alright, so this is some more wall of text tutorializing, which is kind of all I had at the time. Tutorial. Detect keys or gamepad. Have smaller snippets of training rather than a wall of text. I mean, I never felt the wall of text was like shippable, but it was all I had at the moment. Hey, Parapsycho! Hey, welcome to stream. We're just talking a little bit about onboarding people into Autofire and how to make that experience better. Play Dungeon Man's Jim is here, and we were talking last night, and he was saying that, yeah, the game feels like a sandbox, and it's true. I've really been, like, I'm a systems designer, right? So I really get into, like, okay, yeah, now this weapon is going to work with this, and then we're going to have this fame mechanic where you're going to ramp stuff up, and then you're going to cash it in, and that's going to build your reputation up, and you're going to level up. Oh, sweet. Oh, you just started playing. Oh, cool. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I mean, we're just talking about how difficult it is to get into when you first start up, but I'm glad. Actually, your honest, even brutal opinions as to what your early experience was is totally welcome. I got an email from somebody just a few days ago. Yes, systems guys. Hey, yeah, we're part of a good club. I love systems, right? Like, I nerd out about that stuff. Dungeon Man Jim is much more of a storyteller. He's running D&D all the time, and he did some great writing for Dungeon Mans. In fact, he's been helping me out with code, and I probably could use his writing help a little more than I could use his coding help right now. Yeah, I might hit him up for a little bit of dialogue or something like that. He might have fun with that. But yeah. Somebody had just mentioned they were starting up, and they were like, hey, I don't like having a lot of controls being thrown at me. So they felt that, like, the keyboard and the gamepad was distracting them, that they had both of those. They said some weird things like they were killed in one hit. And I'm like, wait a minute, that sounds like what happened when there was a player that we had on our Discord who was asking me for help, and he kept saying help. And this is kind of how testing goes. Hey, we're going to have a little sidebar while we talk a little bit more about the early experience, because it was part of this guy's early experience, right? He came to me, and he said, the first thing he said to me was, I got through the first fight, like this fight that we're in right now. Here, let me skip into the fight here. You know, he's driving around, and he's like, I can't find the exit. That was the first thing he tells me. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. You know, like, I've got a quest pointer that I just put in that shows, you know, kind of points you to where you need to go or who you need to kill. So you see, like, Willow the Gator down here. Well, after you kill Willow the Gator, it points you to the exit. And I was like, oh, I guess the exit didn't work so well. The pointer didn't appear, or I was like, are you sure it's not there? Like, sometimes it's a little hard to see. I don't draw attention to it very well. And he said, yeah, no. And then he's like, yeah, it points me into a corner, and there's no... Or then he eventually says, yeah, I see a pointer, but it points me into a corner of the map, you know, like up here or something like that. And there's no exit there. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. The corner? The exits are never in the corner. So that was kind of like where I was at with this. Is like, I'm trying to figure out what he's talking about. And then eventually he kind of tells me... Yeah, I didn't have any weapons either, so I just rammed people until they died. And once they died, I needed to get out, and I wasn't able to get out, so I'm stuck, right? He went to this first encounter, rammed everybody to death, and then he tried to quit, and he couldn't. Or he tried to leave, and he couldn't. He couldn't find the exit. And I was like, well, that's weird. And then he eventually, we went back and forth, and he sent me... I'll look it up here. This is great. Feedback. Oh, help. He was looking for help. I'm looking at my Discord here, right? Yeah, this is what his map looked like. He sent me a picture. He's like, yeah, this is my map, and it's pointing me to the lower right-hand corner, and I'm like, what is this, right? Like, he's like, yeah, it's pointing me right here, and I'm like, what the hell is going on here, right? Like, there's dudes to fight, it spawns them. Yeah, we're all sides are equal. Big Box Bandit Arena. Yeah, well, I do want to get arenas in, but this was not what I was expecting. And it turns out that he was playing on a Russian machine. And funny thing about foreign language machines is that strings are handled differently depending on depending on what languages you have set. If like, hey, okay, well, this country uses a decimal point for commas every 1,000 and a comma for decimal. That stuff gets reversed, right? For example. But let's see. Local. This is all fun. I like sidebars like this, but I actually been eager to talk about this just because remember, this whole thing started with the guy saying, I can't find the exit. And I was like, okay, like totally going down some other road. And this is like classic game development, right? Sometimes you get a bug and you have to do a little bit of investigation to find out what really the problem is. Sometimes people totally know what's going on behind the, under the hood. And then sometimes they'll just tell you like the final straw, right? And it's like, I can't, I really can't beat this guy. And it turns out, they were fighting a rock that looks like a car or, something ridiculous that you never would have imagined. So yeah. So for example, if I want to change a string to lowercase, like apparently the international safe way, this is all stuff that Jim taught me. You go to, there's like, if you're just a total noob, you just say to lower, which says, hey, make it lowercase. But make it to lower invariant makes it more, it's longer to type, right? It sucks. But it makes it more tolerant of that sort of language difference. And in the case of, I gotta look for culture. Culture is the term for it. Let's see, try getting int value. Where am I doing it here? Yeah, here it is. So, like, ordinarily I want to parse something, right? And I'm just like, hey, parse this thing, turn it into a string, and or take this string, turn it into an integer, and everything's cool. Well, when you're doing floats in particular, because I said, send me, when I saw that empty file, I said, send me your log, and he showed me the log, and it was just spitting out error after error under the scenes that certain things were 0, like the damage of all the weapons were 0. There were no weapons on any of the vehicles because they were all blank. It was reading them in as blanks, basically. So it was like, oh, no machine gun in there. There's blank. Sucks to be you. You don't have any weapons. So, getting those things in so that, and particularly, it was because of all the numbers basically ended up reading in as 0. So no matter what I had in there, it was like, yep, another 0. So adding in, this is some little bit of code that Jim gave me, but setting it up to deal with globalization and in an invariant culture, right? There's all this fancy terminology. It's probably Microsoft source stuff, because C# kind of a Microsoft brainchild. I don't actually know where the terminology comes from, but basically, an invariant culture means that this stuff doesn't obey the usual rules for reading in floats and stuff like that, so things come in properly. So basically, I put out a new build where I'm using this sort of stuff to read in things, and everything's cool. So anyway, that's the end of my little sidebar about debugging this and getting just a weirdo bug report that I wasn't ready for. So we got some little tweets here. That driver Cutter really puts on a friggin' great show. He's the local rival that sort of the star driver out on the dueling circuit right now in the nearest Citadel, and that's not you right now. They certainly will be bragging about you when they learn about you, but when you start, that rival out there in the Citadel is somebody different. So back to where we are. We got to take out Willow the Gator. She's the first person in our way to be taken out, for us to wipe out the whatever they are. I can't remember the name of the. This is why bringing up the auto map and having it tell me who the faction is would be nice. I used to have it up in the top here, but it was just too busy to have that stuff, so I took it out. And you see all this. This is all debug information, but you know, like there's important information that appears up here depending on what you're aiming at. So I don't really want to put too much up there. Yeah, taking out heads is good. I'm glad to hear it. Right? Yeah, Ragdoll. That's the nice thing about using Unity, right? It's like, okay, well, I was just like, one day I'm like, I bet I could do some Ragdoll, you know, using Unity, and I was like, looked up how to make how to rig it, right? And you just drag in the skeleton, and you just point it to each joint. You say, this is the arms, and these are the legs, and this is the spine, and this are the hips, and you just point it to the object, and then you just set it to go. You just turn on Ragdoll. It's pretty much as simple as that, and it just magically works. So after somebody dies, you just say, hey, you're gonna die? Well, if you got a Ragdoll, flip it on, and they tumble and do all their goofy stuff. One thing that looks a little weird though is if I spawn dog? Whoa, man, what's it? We gotta spawn a dog, which is actually quite sad. Like, taking out a dog is not exactly enemy dog. Enemy dog is the name of it. Spawn enemy dog. It's there not because I like running over dogs, because nobody likes to run over dogs, but because it's a post-apocalyptic world and everyone always has German Shepherds. They gotta be German Shepherds, right? That's like, hey, thanks for coming by, Shomolosis. Yeah, glad you had fun. I had fun. I've had fun so far. So, see you next time. Alright, so yeah, we got these dogs here. And they are rigged with human skeletons. So let's see what happens when I run over them. Well, they kind of... Oh, actually, that looked all right. But basically, I rigged them up like they were people. And mostly it works. It's enough. Sometimes they'll stretch a little weird. Such a terror. Yeah, okay, that time it went a little nuts. That's the thing about ragdolls, is they can get out of control. That one stretched out a little bit. What's going on with our music here? Oh, okay, we're all right. This guy, Arcadia, is going. Snip tool. Cattle Tangerine, you could sick like 3 dogs on a ped. Yeah. Oh, you mean like releasing your mutts? That would be pretty fun, right? Like, release the mutts. And just, you know, let them go nuts. Or you could do the, I could have some emergent stuff there, right? Like, I could do the Far Cry style. Yeah, we'll throw ideas in here, right? Ideas. Kennel of dogs. Can break it open, and dogs attack everything. So, you know, you could do the Far Cry style where you, like, create a little chaos by doing something. It might be kind of fun to kind of do something like that, just to get a little emergent gameplay, as we designers like to say. So, all right, let's take out Willa the Gator here and get into the remainder of our sort of early player experience. I got side guns. So right now I have the Stallion, and it's got a bolt rifle up front. You see this bolt carbine here. And to the right and left I have a junk thrower. And it doesn't give me the stats up here because I haven't selected a target. Shoot Willa the Gator here. Destroyed a deadly carnivore's bandit scout, so I just put that stuff back in, like I said, because I wanted that feel of sort of like that roguelike feed. But for me, I feel like this is a personal opinion, and for roguelike fans, they would seriously disagree. But I want to convey as much information as I can without using that log. So for me, I kind of want it to be primarily a social feed. That being part of the theme of the game. and then also have sort of world feed stuff happening, like, you know, something that you picked up or something that you might want to know about. You know, what was that thing that I killed? And, you know, obviously, you know, the tweets out from the boss fight also appear there. So let's take out Will of the Gator. So you see, I've created a quest when you came in here that it said, oh, is there a boss of this particular battleground map? Turns out there is. It's Will of the Gator, and that's how battlegrounds work, right? You encounter something in the world, creates a battle, a combat desert battleground or whatever goes with it. You know, creates a scene, and it populates it with whatever boss you ran into. What I call agents, the agent could be a mini boss, it could be the mayor of a town, it could be Clementine back there that we met. It's a rival driver. Those are all agents, and they have dialogue choices, they have portraits. These are all actors in the world that we can use for various purposes. But in most cases, agents are bosses. In this case, Will of the Gator is our mini boss. And there we go. I can't believe the scum-faced bilge clod got me, you know. The wonders of generated text. So we got a reward because we took her out. And you can see that quest emptied out from the upper right. Now what we don't have, and I'll put this in a little bit. This is sort of that text screen that popped up that told you about the rewards you got for taking her out. That's generic, right? You get that with any boss. And right now, your job isn't to take out Will of the whatever. You want Jimmy the Knife. So maybe that's okay. But if you're finishing a quest, like a real quest, like something that somebody gave to you, it's good to have a callback. Quest completion. Looking at this. Should quests always have a quest giver? Set quests. Let's say quests could have a quest giver. They don't always have to have a quest giver because you still want to be able to like enter a space and it just kind of throws you an ad hoc quest, which is like take out the jerk in this level, right? It doesn't have to be, you know, you always talk to Deckard Cain and he's like, kill Jimmy the Knife. You know, like that's great, but not particularly good for sort of ad hoc things like I'm talking about where I want an objective pointer, but I don't want to like have all the rigmarole. But so some quests, so let's just say quests. Yep. Quest could remember the quest giver. Should remember if the quest giver, if possible, if exists. Quests can have custom victory dialogue with quest giver radioing in with kudos, right? So that Clementine or whoever is like, thanks for taking out Jimmy the Knife. He was a dick. We're gonna get on with doing whatever the hell we do in the outposts. Stay a while and listen. So we probably want to have something like that. And again, this is fluff, and it could even be argued that we don't really need this right now. But this sense of place and like accomplishment is something I don't have right now. So you go in, you kill some stuff. It just says, you killed some stuff, and then you go to the next thing and you kill some stuff, and you know there's a citadel out there, and then you can go there and take on new quests. But there isn't a lot of sort of things driving the player through the space, and I feel like I need that. So if these things are easy, like, you know, having custom victory dialogue, no big deal. If I give the player a quest to begin with, then setting it up to have a specific text play when you're victorious, no big deal, right? So So I got a high temp flamer. The grinder V4 is a engine, but it's only a V4. I think the engine on this car is better anyway. Got picked up another junk thrower. So this is all stuff that I want to take to the garage and load out, right? So if I use the C key or the tab key, not the C key, it might become the C key. I can look at what the player's loaded out with, right? I can see that this is a junk thrower. This UI is not great, frankly. Needs some work. Looks like I can't click on that for some reason. But I can look at the inventory. This is what I've got. So I can look at what I've picked up. But when I'm out on the road, I can't fit new weapons. And if someone told me I am not going to buy your game unless you can fit those weapons in on the fly, I might be willing to go with that. Or, like, hey, you should only allow it in the overworld, but if you're in a map, like in combat zone, right, like then it should, then you've got to find a garage to flip it out with. But for now, you got to go to a garage or a citadel to swap out your stuff. So here's it points you to the baked plane. Points you to the baked plains. Let's try pointing with my finger. To the exit now that the place is cleared out. No one else is going to spawn, so this population is set to 0. And that's a population max, by the way. And I'm going to go back out to the baked plains where the spiders still hold true. That's the Thunder Razors, right? Let's go back out. And here's a little quirk. When I move forward, that's when she dies. Minor fix explosion after encounter ends. So it doesn't handle all the crap from like winning until you move away. That's obviously not by design, but that's just a quirk of. It's a bug I gotta fix, right? All right, so guide the player to the garage. Tutorialize? Maybe tutorialize the garage. So having a little pop-up when you get near the garage saying, boop, you can swap out things here, because that's cool. And look, our tweets and our interaction pop-up are in the wrong order, so I gotta fix that. Get to all this. But if I go in here, this is where I can swap out equipment, right? So I can come in here, I can put in the flamer. There's the bolt carbine. There's something wrong with the hotspot. The hotspot here is really in a weird place. I'm not sure why. I just gotta fix this. This interface is, classic, right? I threw it together at one point, and just as I was first learning to do some of this stuff, and I haven't really given it the business sense. So it's just something I gotta do. So let's put the flamer up front. Let's put the bolt carbine on the back. Got 2 junk throwers, one left, one right. I can't sell any equipment, so I can look at my inventory and see what I've got. Oh look, I picked up some RAM reinforcement. Although I think, I already have RAM reinforcement equipped. There's another grinder I could equip. So this vehicle has a V4 grinder built in. Oh, look at this. Look at this crap. Oh, man. I gotta fix this interface, but first things first. And looks like I don't have any other equipment here. So, alright, so I'm gonna go repair. Let's see what we can fix up. Let's get a little fuel. Alright. So here we are. Back in the world. in the tall grasses. Yeah. Oh, look, it's a machine gun. All right, well, all right. I kind of want that too. Let's put that machine gun in here on the left side, and we're good to go. All right, so it's still not pushing me to go into any map, but what it should be doing is Jimmy the Knife happens to be here in Blackberry Ranch, right? The character that it told me to take out. So, in the overworld map show, the challenge level of the map. In the auto map show, let's see. First combat encounter, guide the player to the garage, tutorialize. Pop up. Let's see. Guide the player to their final Jimmy the Knife. When near a location with a quest in it, pop up information about that quest. Off-screen pointer should point to quest location once discovered. So that's how this pointer works, right? As soon as you discover something, it decides it should point to, whether it's a watchtower or whatever, it points to it forever, as long it points to whatever is the closest important thing. So in this case, I appear here and I see Blackberry Ranch, and I get close. I see this is Blackberry Ranch. The spiders own it. Maybe I don't need to know that the spiders own it. Maybe it's more important to say Jimmy the Knife is in here, and there's like a little quest pointer, like a I don't know, exclamation point if you're a WoW fan, a gold ring if you're a Lord of the Rings Online fan. Something to indicate that this is the place you got to go to accomplish your quest. So let's just at least have a general visual language for quests. Quest should have an icon or something represents one. So, if I introduce that into my set of icons that I can use in text, then I can put it all over the place. I can use it in my UI. That's what WoW does, right? Like anytime you see any sort of yellow exclamation point or exclamation point of various colors, you generally see that when they're talking about quests too. So it'd be a good thing to have, frankly. And I don't know, maybe that'll be a steering wheel or a bullet or something, right? I got some stuff. Man, this tall grass is hilarious. We'll get to that. All right, so here we are in Blackberry Ranch. So while the player can exit out here right now, and I'll decide, maybe if it keeps pointing you that way to Blackberry Ranch, you'll be inclined to. But I didn't really want to railroad the player into like, you can't leave until you kill Jimmy the Knife. Maybe not. I guess we'll see how that early experience is. Should we keep the player from moving on from the sector without killing Jimmy? I don't know. I'm generally not a fan of like roping the player in that way. Just make the player feel bad if they're leaving they just drive right the hell by Blackberry Ranch, and they're like, all right, we're gonna go to this new place, right? That'd be slightly less cool to force them. So I don't know. I'm all right with that. So here we go. We're gonna fight Jimmy the Knife, who happens to actually be named for the purposes of this particular match. Named. There we go. We're in Blackberry Ranch. Perilous Spider. So the other thing I need, I think, is if I'm not basically I used to have these sort of side panels that popped out that said whatever Perilous Spider was saying. I think these fold-out panels, boss pop-outs, boss introductions. So, some games would be like, bam, there's like a, some sort of jagged-looking frame, right, with Perilous Spider inside, and it's like, Perilous Spider, level 3, likes, dislikes, long walks in the beach, whatever. Something. I gotta have something to introduce this character, so just having that little tweet isn't enough. So I have that panel. I'll probably put that panel back and maybe take the quote out of it and let the quotes continue to exist in this social area here, but I gotta make sure the player knows about the boss that they're gonna be fighting. Keep boss panel, but maybe remove the quote from it. Leave to social feed. All right. All right, so drive around a little bit here. So I was working on trying to make this. There were some issues with the grass; it was popping in and out. So I accidentally made it. I don't know. I did more grass and it looked better. So it wasn't like a big thing that I did this week, but it was fun to. He was on fire. Nice. Let's go pick up that stuff. So right now the quest is to destroy all the watchtowers. So in this map. There's our little pile of tires I can go through now. So I just, got some new things to interact with in the world. Because before all that stuff was non-interactive, non-breakable, and it just made me sad. So I did that last week, partially during stream. All right, here we go. Right into that guy. Oh man, the sound is terrible, or the VO is very temp. Blow up that pile of barrels there. All right, here we are in the watchtowers. So this is Dungeon Man Jim's work to make these rockets take more than one turn to reach their destination. So we set it up so that if you want to take this tower out, you just got to keep moving. So that makes it more useful to have weapons on your side. Some people would just drive right up to the tower and you try. Oh no! You tried going into this map, but there was a boulder in the way. In this map? You mean this map that we're in right now? In the intro content? There was a boulder in the way? Oh, okay. So you load up this, you went into that outpost, right? From the overworld, and then when you appeared in this map, you were trapped right in the entrance, right? And you couldn't proceed into the map. Yeah. That is a bug that has existed for months. I gotta just fix it. It happens rarely enough that I'm like, I'll fix it at some point. But then I swear, so many players run into this, right? People who want to like my game, they fire it up and they're like, oh god, what is this crap? And game development, is kind of the answer typically, right? It's like that's game development. Games are horribly broken for a long time. But that one, especially if you're like, well, I can't even. You should be able to leave, right? You don't have to fight Jimmy the Knife, but it makes people sad, and so I really got to fix that thing. It's basically the game goes through and it makes sure every part of the map that is open is passable. So there are no donuts where it's like, hey, there's a big ring of buildings or rocks, and then there's a blank space in the middle that you can't get to. None of that should happen. It does detect that. I just did something wrong. I think it put the rock down after either the passability test, it tests it and ignores the rock, or it does the test after the rock is placed, or sorry, or it does it before the rock is placed, then it places the rock down. I'm not sure. It's one of those two. I gotta get that fixed. So, all right. So let's pick up some stuff. Go further into the map. So we took out one of the watchtowers. There's one left, and hey, we were near one, so it pointed the way to it. So it did its job well. I'm gonna got my machine gun here. All right. Shoot right, shoot left. Okay, I gotta accelerate out of the way here so I don't get hit by that rocket. Okay. Oh yeah, took that guy out. Nice. See that? You know, that feels good, right? So that sort of shit I totally want to keep. All right. Oh. Oh dear. Rockets coming my way. Ouch. The other thing is these rockets have a damage radius of 1. So these adjacent tiles it'll actually do damage in. But my targeting little ring does not represent that. So I gotta have it like actually show the area of effect when these areas are targeted. So I'll probably just have it use a different ring when it's a radius damage thing. If I were like really baller, I'd make it highlight all the squares and use some sort of system for highlighting squares, and that's sort of like what Tangle Leap does. I think Dungeon Man's does that. That is the better way of doing it. It wouldn't be in 3D, but there's ways of turning that into a shader, you know, some sort of like grid of squares, and I use some shader to make the edges glittery, and maybe I can extrude it so it is in 3D, right? That's all stuff that I'll have to think about what I want to do in the future. All right, so let's take this last tower out. Oh, damn. You got me pretty good. There we go. All right, Perilous Spider. Perilous Spider. All right, so this is Jimmy the Knife. So this is the actual boss that the boss spawned, right? The one we've been waiting for. It sort of quietly updated the quest here in the upper right. So, when quest boss appears, be more prominent. So I have that like horn, boo, and it does say Perilous Spider has entered, but it doesn't say, by the way, this isn't just a random boss. This is somebody you got a quest to kill. It's gonna earn you like likes and fame and follows and all that stuff, right? So it's probably good to make a bigger deal of that, frankly. So I gotta keep the small things small and the big things big, right? To kind of guide the player through the experience. So let's take out Perilous Spider here. All right. Can I go out this way? I kind of want to be able to break through these walls easier, but this is like you know, I've got like level 2 stuff, so like I don't really want to make those walls like so easy to break through, so that even like, you know, I want you to feel good when you're finally able to break through. So we'll see how that goes. All right. Oh, that guy. Oh shit! All right, Perilous Spider, get some. So this flamer isn't a cone. There's another flamer that's a cone. This one is a line. It's got a pretty good range. Oh, Perilous Spider. Tell you what, I gotta use some of my abilities here. I've been neglecting them. Oh no. Wow, Perilous Spider is... that's a heavy vehicle. let's let this ram recharge and try it again here. That was actually not super cool. Like, using these special abilities are supposed to be super cool, and if they're not, that's something I gotta deal with too. Boom. Alright, knock that guy out of the way. It didn't necessarily feel like amazing. So another thing I gotta deal with. Alrighty. Oh. Alright, put on an oil slick here. Come on, baby. Alright. Set some stuff on fire here. Okay. Alright, so this is actually very generic stuff, right? So defeat the warlord. Another despot has been vanquished. As far as you know, you just killed another person. You know, it was the notorious perilous spider who actually cleared out this entire... by taking her out, she's the boss of this whole region. And so taking her out clears this out. And bosses, or agents, as I was saying before, can take out... they can just... They don't have to be in a location. Or they might be in a location. So if they happen to be in an outpost or something like that, you take them out, then, you know, it's the smart bomb. You've basically cleared out the controls, the overall infrastructure for the entire gang, right? If that boss, that super boss, is not out in the world, in a outpost, basically, by taking out enough of their lieutenants, then that boss becomes an enemy that wanders around the overworld seeking you out, right? Is basically calling out hits on you. So bosses come, super boss is going to come, and taking that boss out after that sort of cycle of being attacked is how that's supposed to work. And right now you just beat something and it just says, cool, you beat a thing. And let's see. Quest. Real quest. Not ad hoc quest, but real quest completion needs more fanfare, right? And this is all part of the custom victory dialogue, putting up the, putting up the quest giver radioing in, saying, "Oh, now with Jimmy dead, we can totally eat all the rutabagas we want," or whatever they were worried about. So that should include music. The screen should be a little more flamboyant. You know, again, if this were Borderlands or something like that, these are things I think about, right? Putting up a portrait and a big X through it, big red X is a way of making you feel like you really did something. Whereas, this presentation, it's okay. It does the trick, but it's definitely not driving the player through the space. So, okay, so the player just got done with all this. And these enemies are still fighting me. So, yeah, this is like any other dungeon game. You beat the boss, and sometimes the game clears out everything. In some games, the monsters keep on fighting, right? They just don't, it doesn't repopulate. That's what happens here. It doesn't repopulate, but the enemies that are there keep fighting because they don't disappear or anything like that, right? So that's fine. It might be fun to have them flee, right? That would be a way to do it. It's like, all right, these guys are all gonna take off because Jimmy the Knife is dead. We can talk. We can do that. Like, perhaps have remaining enemies flee when you take out the big boss. And not just flee, remaining enemies tweet their dismay at you killing their boss. So getting that sort of stuff would be fun. So again, create this idea that you accomplish something, make you feel good. Now you've got equipment that you picked up. And there is a garage inside there, but there's no garage here. So I completed stuff. I just got done with this. Black Bear Ranch. If I go back in there, there's nothing in there. The game should not crash. Let's make sure it doesn't crash. It shouldn't spawn anything, and it shouldn't crash. So, if you want to go back and pick up the last chests you can, or the last things that were left behind, that all works. There's still, whatever enemies are left you can take care of. But really what should happen, even if the player's leaving the stuff behind, is, I think, just for the sake of, like, making the game feel better. Let's see. Put cleared over locations that have been cleansed or cleared. Because right now what we got is it just says Black Bear Ranch, and it doesn't say who owns it anymore, because nobody owns it. This is up for grabs, with the idea that the citizenry can move back into this outpost, and it can become available for you as a city that you can interact with, or at least deliver things to. You're not going to be able to drive around the city and see them, like, farming and stuff like that. It's a little outside the scope of this game, but that's kind of the idea, is that they're going to go back and they're going to farm in this outpost now that the bad guys are gone. Damn Jerry on a boy. The spiders just freak me out. Okay, that's a poorly constructed table-based quote there. I gotta work on that. Damn Jerry on a boy. Okay. Quotes to fix. Quotes to fix. Sometimes it's good to remember these. Damn Jerry on a boy. The spiders just freak me out. Which is like, what? So that's weird. All right, so we're gonna head to Greenhawk. It's supposed to. I had this set up so it's supposed to actually give you an exit with an interstate sign, like a state road sign, because this is a highway map. A highway map. A highway map. Yeah. So this is a highway map. These are the ones I was working on last week. And apparently I gotta... Okay, so this is straight. It's working okay. It had some issues with alignment. But basically I just gotta drive to the next location. Now Kill Stormy Jack is entirely optional because this is the highway. You're not out here to kill anybody. You just gotta deal with oil and, rocket towers that might cause you trouble. These rocket towers, since you might just drive through, I might have them lead you as a target. That's something I have set up now, so that if you're driving through at high speeds, it's gonna, it's basically going to shoot rockets ahead, so you basically can't just run by them. You You got to at least bob and weave a little bit. Oh my gosh. All right. Let's go into Greenhawk. Okay. So, all right. Heading to the next sector. Or let's say sector completion. You can go back to an outpost and use it as a city. So that's cool. You know, you can use that as another garage, basically, right? I go to there and I can load out my equipment at one of these cities. Prominently tell the player that the Thunder Razors, deliberately spelled weird, have fled. Different music, maybe, right? Guide. We don't have to guide the player to the next sector. If it's boring here, they're going to want to leave anyway, right? Make sure the player knows that the exit will take them to the next sector. So I had that going, and I'm gonna look at that quick while we're here. I'm here in the new sector. So here we are in the new sector. This is, we got encounters here, but here I am in Greenhawk. Greenland. Some more barrels or more tires. Get random encounters here. So we're here in the overworld. I'm in a world where Reynoldsman Crater. You know, there's ruined cities here, not just regular stuff. But the player to date, right? They get out of that first sector. They know what an encounter is, and they hopefully know what a garage does. Hopefully, maybe. And they know that they took out Jimmy the Knife in this outpost. Now they're heading to an entirely new sector. And the idea of this sector is this is a little more of that sandbox that Jim talks about. And it's by design, right? You come in here and it's the wild woolly west, right? You come out here and you don't know if you're going to get, you don't know if you're going to have to deal with a city right away, or if it's going to be difficult for you to reach a garage so you can make repairs, you know, after you have a tough fight. And you don't know where the citadels are. So in this case, the Citadel, Panther Town. It's not Cougar Town, it's Panther Town. Probably is a Cougar Town. I think that could generate. That was a show or something, right? Yeah, so this is the Citadel. So this is the other part. The player finally gets to one of these, and maybe they don't even know that this Citadel, that the game has citadels, right? That, you know, maybe they just think they're out there in the world and they're just going to garages and putting equipment on their car, and that's that. How to guide the player to the first Citadel. So what I might have to do is the next sector you go to, I kind of make, either I put a Citadel in that intro area, which I don't really want to do. I kind of like that first sector to be like the lonely, lonesomest folk. Whereas the Citadel is going into the big city. This is where the wage slaves live. This is where the corporates hang out. This is where you get missions. You know, I could go to a dealership, which I got to hook up. I could go to the loading dock and take on cargo missions. Yeah, that's a good point. Quest hook that requires the player to visit the Citadel. I'll put that in there. Quest to go to Citadel? And if we do that, maybe, like, I might be able to have quests automatically point you to them. So in this case, point the player to the Citadel immediately upon entering sector. So the other thing I do is, what is that quest, right? The quest to go to the Citadel. It could be that the Clementine and the Lonely Outpost people are like, oh man, thanks for taking this out. Can you do us one more favor and tell the mayor of the Citadel this is terrible, right? But, you know, it's like, thanks for helping us. Can you do us one more and tell the mayor, or, you know, reach that Citadel to give the message that we need supplies or something like that. Citadel, so they can start sending supplies again. This sort of thing is tough because this isn't Road Warrior, right? We've got the internet, but, you know, maybe the internet is limited. Maybe, you know, within a sector you've got your social media feed, and they're isolated within a Citadel, right, or a sector. That it's like, okay, it's the Washington State network, and it's the Texas network. You know, that could be the way it works. So, like, giving quests to deliver information or to tell somebody or to kick something off is useful, or it could just be, you know, they want proof. You know, they don't trust us, right? They want proof that the Thunder Razors have been taken out so that they can send supplies again, and so their caravans don't just get destroyed, right? So they want proof of Jimmy's demise, Jimmy's head, you know, whatever. We can totally do that. So that's the idea of, like, yeah, bring Jack. Oh, look at that! Bring Jack the Knife's head to the Citadel. I look over, and the very thing I'm writing is awesome, Psycho. Yeah, they want proof. Jimmy's head. Sounds pretty good. All right, so we bring the player to here, and once they reach the Citadel, we've got them at some level, right? I mean, they need to kind of see how the game opens up at that point. So there's a bunch of stuff on me to get things going, because here in the Citadel, it's a little flaky to use. You know, obviously you saw that loadout screen where it's like, I want to load out, but I can't click on the button. It isn't quite right. Like, well, what the hell is that crap, right? So there's a little bit of sadness when I think people go to the Citadel because they see stuff that they want to interact with. But the idea, like, I go, here's the mayor, I have my message for the mayor, I see a bit of dialogue about Jimmy's head, and he's like, I'll totally send some supplies, that's cool. And sending supplies is a little too happy-go-lucky. I think these Citadels are mostly in competition with each other, and outposts in the fiction are sort of the people that have shunned the Citadel. So, but there are shipments that go out, and they make money off these people, right? They charge them through the nose to give them stuff. So, Jimmy can't type. Jimmy the knife, Jack the knife, Jack the knife, Jack the knife. So yeah, you come in here, you can kind of load out, sorta. You got repairs. You can sell your stuff finally. Look, all right, I got this junk thrower. Let's get rid of that crap. You know, sell that crap. Let's load out what we got here. Well, let's see if we can buy something. Sell it. Sell, Mortimer. Sell. Oh. Oh, all right. Oops. This the buy and sell screens look almost identical, and that's killing me. So I gotta fix that. But look at this. I can get a Muscle V6, so a better engine, with not a lot of information about it right now. I gotta fill that out. Mine droppers. Mine droppers are great. I'm all for mine dropper. Scatterguns. I love scatterguns. And let's get a rocket launcher. All right. And here's some armor I can pick up. So, man, this is okay. I don't have $1,720, but it would increase my armor by 30%. So let's load that stuff out. My factory zinc coating is going to have to do it. It's just 100% armor. So we got our high temp flamer. We got a machine gun. Here, let's swap these around. Sammy, what's going on? All right. Cat came in, I think, but oh, there he is. All right, well, all right. This is inevitable. I can't really. He needs his moment. So, oh, look at that. We got a little lullaby sound while Sam comes up here. So the other half of the brothers is Sam. All right. So, hey, bud. All right. So, all right, I'm going to load this up. I want a rocket launcher on the front. Let's put scatterguns on the side. I love scatterguns on the side because driving by stuff and wrecking things in big areas is really great. And I got my high temp flamer on the back. And we'll sell the rest because I don't really care about any of the rest. Grinder V4, that's no better than what I got. Bolt carbine. Sighted bolt carbine, jump throwers, screw that crap. Oh yeah, I gotta put the mine dropper on. So instead of a smoke screen is really handy. An oil slick is okay, but it's only good in really the ruined cities. But a mine dropper is always fun. It uses ordnance, so you gotta keep the ammo up for it, but it is handy to use. And here's where we have the dealership. So this is where you'd be able to have a stable of cars. You could buy new car models which have different armor profiles and different types of weapons that could be mounted. The loading dock is where you can, 6 cats, because what kind of crazy person would own 6 cats? Let's load up the 6 cats and a mysterious experiment. So these are all things that need to go to one place or another. In fact, I should click on it. So Old Bushdale and Greenhawk. We are in Greenhawk. I have no map indicating where you're going to go, so that's another thing I got to get done. A meat allotment for the to the homestead. All right. So this meat allotment goes back to the homestead where we were before. So that's cool. And then the last thing, this is the thing I really want to get going, and that is the combat arena. So being able to go in, fight against your rivals in this space. And this is sort of like where the game is supposed to kind of hit ahead, and that fantasy of card combat is supposed to come out, right? It's like, all right, I go to the citadels and I fight in the combat arena, and they got a combat arena with like a cross shape, and this one has oil everywhere, and this one has turrets. That sort of thing is all part of this. So, all right, let's leave. Let's test out. It's pointing me back to the Baked Plains. That's actually not something I particularly want to happen. I mean, it is, because I have a quest that takes me to the Baked Plains, but it's not pointing me there because I took that quest. It's because it didn't clear out that exit point, I think. This goes to Blue Horse. Okay, so this has the interstate, the state road sign. And I actually use normal U.S., interstate numbering systems for north, south, and east, west highways. Because the way it works in the U.S. is the east-west roads, they start at 10 in the south, and in the north they go, they're 90, and the north-south roads are multiples of 5. They always end with 5, and it starts with the Interstate 5 on the west side, and on the east side it's Interstate 95. So hey, yeah, that just gave me a quick thing to do roads, and yeah, it's more fun than it. I don't know. It kind of gives some consistency that if you keep going north on 20, it's gonna end you in that sort of sector up at the top. I don't know. At some point I got to get a full-on sector map so that you can zoom out right here and look at where you are in the world. It was a 10x10 grid. I actually just reduced it to a 6x6 because I got enough problems filling out this map without 100 different sectors, all of which have to be different. But it's 6x6 still. And okay, well, there's the 15 heading to the Barren Country. It's pointing me to the Baked Plains here. And I'm all right if you don't know exactly how to get to the Baked Plains. You got to look at your map. Oops. So it doesn't give you like a route. It tells you just a general like compass direction of where to go, and that's just how it works. One Hawk Ranch. Deadly Carnivores. All right. That way to the Baked Plains. Okay. Something is weird. I don't think it's actually telling me how to get to the Baked Plains at all. Yeah, I gotta take a right here, because remember, we went past this city. So this sort of experience where, like, even I made the game, and I'm confused as to where to go next, is the sort of stuff that we want to deal with, right? So I'm just going to test this out quick. I want to take this back to the homestead. And I don't know if the quest will work. Oh, yeah, we still got a cat break here. We don't have to look at the cat so much, like have it a large version of the... There we go. Back to what we're doing here. I guess since I'm not shooting right now, Sam gets to have his lap time. All right, Stormajack. Sorry, bud. I'm gonna run right the hell by you. Oh. Come on, bud. There's not a lot on the highway maps right now. I don't specifically populate all the opponents like right in your way. I don't obstruct your progression the way I probably should. So these are all things I've got to work on. But for now, I just want to make sure the player kind of has this sense of space, and they know when they're going from one place to another and what it means. So let's go back. To the homestead. Oh, I can't enter it. Alright, so the homestead, by design, can't be entered. I don't have this set up as a citadel or anything yet. With the idea that maybe I would once you free it, then it becomes a useful city. So, but this is where I would be delivering. See, I've got my missions here. Food for the masses. Hey, look at that! Deliver cargo to the homestead. So, this is one way I could communicate that, right? So, remember we were saying, like, oh, can you start sending supplies? Maybe the player is given a quest to deliver food to the starting location. So it allows you to go back. You can kind of learn how things are how they're doing. Like, hey, how's it going now that Jimmy the Knife is gone? So anyway, I've been jabbing for a while. Let me fix a couple things. So I just want to fix this interaction point and look at this grass and see how that's being generated, because obviously that's... You saw that the other sector didn't have like super tall grass, so I just got to fix... Basically, I was doing some work on setting up different grass in various various maps, and I completely forgot to set them up on this sector. So I want the grass to look like just the overworld. It should be the same. All right. So this map is sort of predefined, right? So I set this up. This is the only overhead map where I like pre-craft everything. In fact, I think it's the only map where I pre-craft everything right now. Eventually I'll have arenas and things like that. Those will be hand-built. But I do it in sort of an unorthodox way. I set up all these tiles indicating like where the flat areas are and where the mountains are. Where the roads are and everything like that. And then when it goes to generation time, it bakes all this information out to the terrain itself. So it just says, well, you got a blank spot here, just like when I'm generating stuff in regular procedural generation. It says, oh, you've got mountains here, you've got a road here, you've got flat space here and rough spot here. We're gonna bake the terrain out so it fits that profile. So all that stuff is pre-placed, and then the terrain is sort of baked into that shape. So I can do that any way I want. And editing this, you can see it's not great. This method worked. I used all these things so that I was able to manually put shrubs down. I was able to get this choke point. Okay, yeah, this looks funny to you probably right now, but if I run the map right now, so let's remove this. Okay, so here's the terrain. So it's set up with roads and all that stuff, and it bakes it out, but some of the detail only appears when you're running the game. Sorry, the reason it looked weird was I brought in the other map. And the only reason I brought in that second map was I wanted to copy all the grass information from one map to the other. So let's do that. I'm going to add another inspector right here. I'm going to lock it, and then I'm going to take terrain, and I'm going to lock this one. All right, so I just want to make sure these different parameters line up properly. So, yes, this is. Let me make sure I know which one is which. Yeah, this is the right one is the start sector, so that's the incorrect one. I just got to get certain sizes correct, just so this all looks correct. As entertaining as that like jungle look was, it obviously wasn't intended. So right here I'm using a grass manager. This is from a asset called ATG, or Advanced Terrain Grass, I believe it's called. Come on, you. Grass. Oh, come on, really? There's nothing called grass? Seriously? Advanced grass. Let's just do that. Advanced grass. There it is, advanced terrain grass. So this thing's pretty cool. It takes come on, seriously? Advanced. This store can be a little awkward to use sometimes. Advanced grass. This is the one. This is the one I got. All right, advanced terrain grass. So it's pretty cool. It's got all these features. Actually, you don't need to watch a video. I just was going to indicate that I can I can set this to draw in edit mode, and then update the grass. Come on, don't I have grass in here? I got grass in here. Oh, I got over desert. All right, well, let me copy this. Let me copy this stuff over so it's got the same parameters as the other one, and I think we will be good. Yeah. So the rocks are 0.1, 0.3. These, oh my God, they're comically huge. So they are 6 times the height of these other things. So yeah, sub awesome, right? Uh, 0.3. Let's make sure this is set up properly. All right, let's copy this data over. I wish I could just cut and paste the parameters from one to the other, and that works in some packages and some objects, but not all of them. So in this case, it's better for me to just do it by hand. All right, so let's close that. Let's do that. Got this. Remove scene. All right. Terrain. So let's fire this up. This is the start sector that we were working in before, or we were in before we were fighting Jimmy the Knife, right? This is the get player accommodated, acclimated, not accommodated stuff. So there is grass here, right? That's pretty cool. But what I can do is it's pretty subtle. It's pretty subtle. So let me play around with that a little bit, because the feature is actually pretty great. So I can grass density. So I can make there be way more grass if I want. Big grass. 20. But what it does is it renders in a different way. It renders them in batches so that it's more efficient when, especially if you're using models, which I'm not yet for your grass, but I kind of need to because paper thin sprites don't look great from top down. But basically, this works in conjunction with a wind prefab. So I can say that the wind is super strong, right? It's like, all right, it's super windy. Check that shiz out. Give it various speed layers. This stuff is pretty cool. It actually has a giant normal map. It projects over everything, and then there's, depending on colors, you know, reds, greens, and blues in various normal maps, it makes the grass bend. It blows it around. It does a lot of noise stuff to kind of give it a better look. And obviously it should look better than this, but this is an example of that sort of motion. And when Unity Grass has wind too, but it's just like, it looks so bad. So the fact that I can get this sort of like, you know, crazy jungly look out of this stuff, and you know, it changes. It'll change color when wind is blowing a little bit if you want. It does just all sorts of stuff. So, oh my gosh, let's just make things silly. All right. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. So anyway, yeah, like, well, we'll pretend I didn't do that junk. Let's make sure I didn't wreck anything. Anything you change here in the inspector. For something in the map doesn't get saved if after you're done playing the game. If you edit any parameters, anything in your assets, that stuff does get saved. So you just got to make sure you're editing the thing you think you are, and whether it's going to throw out your changes or not. So yeah, here it is. It's got the grass. Everything looks okay. Anyway, the point is I fixed that. So the last thing I'm going to fix, just to get it over with, because it's killing me. Let's do desert. Let's have 2 maps here. There's my desert. So we had the right. We had the down here. There was a social media feed, right? And there's a pop-up for interaction. So canvas station, character, HUD core. What the hell is it called? Oh yeah, I think it's called not the action panel, the interact panel. There it is. There it is. The dusty land of Nod. So we have that, and then the problem is that the social panel is is on the other side. It's in front of this stuff. So luckily, it's all in the same thing. So all I need to do is drag this higher in this hierarchy, and it'll draw from top to bottom. So in this case. Let's put it way high, right? I want it to be under most things. It's really only going to fall afoul of a couple things, but let's just make sure everything works as it should, right? Start this up. Badlands of Rocks. All right, let's see if we get any tweets. Should be getting some general tweets from citizenry over time. That driver, Warren, really puts on a bloody great show. Alright, we lost one more last week. Someone's got to do something. Warren is incredible. Couple just random encounters. So yeah. The crazy skunks just freaked me out. Hey, look at that! So the interaction panel covers up the social panel, which is totally fine. That's what I wanted to do. Coolio. So, tell you what, I've been jabbing. I mean, I didn't actually accomplish anything directly, but I think I have a good list of things right here. Of things that I just need to do to give the player a better feel of where they're going, what they're doing, why they're doing it. And so that first experience, those first two fights, when you're taking out Jimmy the Knife, that's important. And then bringing the player to the next sector and kind of giving them a sense of what to do next is also important. And then really, one of the last things I think I need, just to give the player a sense of accomplishment, right? It's like, oh, it's got permadeath, so how, like some sort of completion death screen, right? High score, something you can compare with your last run. That's going to be important, just so people, feel good that they did better than last time. It's like, oh well, I got to level 5 this time, and I only got to level 3 last time. So, so high score, that could be level, cash, XP, fame, etc. And I might even be able to hook into leaderboards because I could. That stuff isn't too rough. So these are all things I'm going to take a shot at in coming weeks. And all of this is intended to make the Kickstarter better. Hi, Sam. So, on a very cat note, I think I'm... Oh, jeez. Jeez. Nice. On a very cat note, I'm going to call this, hey. Call this good. Thanks. I think this is going to be my last time, streaming at 1 o'clock on Tuesdays. I've got some regular paying work I want to be doing during the day, so I'll probably be moving this either to the evening or to weekends. So if you have any opinion on that, feel free to let me know. And thanks for putting up with my kind of soul searching a little bit, kind of looking at the game and trying to figure out exactly what I want to have happen. I appreciate you guys' feedback. And, Sam and I will see you next time. Take it easy.